Yep, now it's recording.
It's
Now
not a
you
big
know where you're
mug.
going.
I know I was commenting on it.
Yeah. Has my name on it.
His ice water.
I tell Elna she can't use my mug. It literally has my name on it.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Well, how do you want to
we're
start?
recording now.
Okay.
Well, we thought maybe for this first time it's kind of just to test the waters a little bit. So we just wanted to have an easy topic. So we wanted to ask you guys some questions about your marriage.
Okay.
Obviously I know the story of how you two met, but maybe you'd like to explain it to Elna how you two met and came to know each other.
I went to
Sure.
her home.
I was only
Well,
17 years old.
I was a rough age of 19, almost 20.
Well, I'll tell it in story form. Do you want me to do
You
that?
can do that. You know
yeah,
you can do
add a little narrative to it here.
Sure. Yeah, I was a junior in high school, and I just had my 17th birthday, and this was during the month of February of 1968. And I'd
Mhm.
always come home from school and read. I enjoyed that quiet time because no one else was home. My little sister, hadn't come home from her school yet. My mother wasn't home from work, so I had the house to myself. I always enjoyed that. And I was sitting at the kitchen table reading, and there was a knock on the door. And I go to the door, and there's two LDS missionaries standing there in their nice suits and their little name tags. And I said, yes. And they asked, if this is where, my mother lived. And I said, yes, it's her home. I'm her daughter. And I invited them in, and they said they were there to get a current printout of the membership within the ward so they could contact people. They needed to have their addresses and their phone numbers. So I said, sure, I can do that for you. I had them sit down in the living room while I went into the family room where we had an old, what do you call it?
mimeograph.
Mimeograph machine. Do you know what that is?
No, I don't even know
One of
what that is.
you? Yeah, where you put fluid into this big drum. You have these carbon sheets. Anyway, you roll them on. You have to roll your hand like this to make them come
Uh-huh.
off the press. Anyway, so I created a directory for them while they were waiting, and then I came out into the living room, and we just small chat, that sort of thing, and I traditionally we shake hands with someone when they're leaving. So I went to shake his hand, and he had a big old pine cone. You should get one of those pine cones. We still have it. Marcus said, one of those three because they were all there. A big
Uh,
pine cone, big one.
uh-huh.
And he had that hidden behind him. He brought his hand out, and there it was. I don't know why it scared me, but it
Oh
did.
no.
And because I was nervous having two young men in the house, and anyway, they weren't doing anything improper, of course, but it
Of
just felt
course, yeah.
kind of funny. But here comes this pine cone. Is that the biggest one of the three? Here it is.
Yeah, but
This is
that wasn't the one he used. Wait, those pine cones were from Dad?
No, they were in my house.
They were on the fireplace
My
in the basket.
grandma had found them someplace and brought them home, and she had them by her fireplace.
I
So
see.
that's what he was doing when in the living room while I was printing off the directory. He was looking at these big pine cones,
I had like this in my back, and I went out to shake her hand.
and this is what he handed me. So that's kind of
That's.
that's our very very first meeting. And you were
Wow.
what then, right?
Mhm.
He was 19, I was 17.
Wait, so those pine cones you have in your house are the exact same that you had when you
Yes.
were a
Yeah, the
kid?
one your grandma gave them
Oh,
to us.
wow. I never knew that.
Yeah.
I always grew up with
Really?
those
I thought I've said that to you
pine
kids
cones in the
hundreds of
house.
times.
I didn't know that. No.
They've kind of gotten beaten up over the years,
Well,
but
yeah,
oh
I did
well.
some. I'm pretty sure I did some beating up on those. I didn't realize
Yeah,
they
I'm
had
sure
such a
you did too.
significance. I remember James and I playing football with those.
Yeah, whatever. But no,
I thought
that
those
they are
were
the original ones.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's funny. That's really
So
funny.
anyway, that was that. He was in my area for about 3.5 months, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And then he went to another area, and I never expected to see him again. But he would come over to our house a lot, and Grandma would fix dinner for him and his companion. So he was over
Hmm.
there quite a bit, particularly on Sunday evening. So that was kind of fun. So, we just kind of, he was one of my favorite missionaries, I guess, because we had fun times together.
Right, right.
Then when we
Now,
went to
now
college,
you
after missions, after a mission, we both ended up over at Rick's College.
Where Tim
you guys
graduated from.
didn't you after Dad left the area, didn't you guys kind of write to each other or keep tabs on
Just a
each
little
other or
bit.
Uh,
something?
yeah, but you weren't really supposed to, so that had to end. And
Okay.
I think he called my mother once and said that he had to end the communication because that was the proper
Oh,
thing to
really?
do. So I would ask missionaries, I go, "Where's Elder Long? He's over in Moses Lake, or he's over in
I
Spokane,
was
or
never in Moses Lake.
Moses Lake. Where was it? Over
It
the
was
Ellensburg.
right. I went from Moses Lake to Walla Walla to Ellensburg. No, Port Orchard's in Ellensburg, and then up to Mount Vernon.
Okay. So,
Oh, that's
and I would just ask them, well, what's his plans, Because I knew approximately when he was going to be released, and they'd say, "Oh yeah, he's going back to Ohio, so he'll be going." And then the Vietnam War was on, so I don't think he knew at that time if he might be drafted or whatever.
right,
So anyway, he wasn't, but so he was able to go to
right,
school. So actually he got an early release of about maybe 2 weeks so he
huh,
could be there on time for school to start in late August.
right.
So actually
Now,
his date, go ahead.
when you had first met each other, when Dad was on his mission, had you told each other that you're both planning on going to Rick's?
No,
No, I
Hmm.
wasn't for sure where I was going. I might have said something, but you weren't sure at all that I think
Oh,
you were planning on going back to Ohio.
I planned it after mission field. I was going to go on to college, so I went to
right.
Rick's, and I wasn't accepted at BYU. I had to go to Rick's for a couple years to get my grades up and prove I could be a college boy.
Yeah, so
Dad,
go ahead.
did you only apply to Rick's or did you have other options?
No, he only applied. Didn't you only apply to Rick?
No, I
I
applied.
I
I applied to BYU and Rick's.
I only applied to
Right, right,
Rick's. That's where I wanted to go. I wanted a smaller school.
If you were a
right,
return missionary, you could get into into Rick's. You could
right,
be
right.
accepted Rick's without question. So
Yeah.
after the mission field, the church opens up the colleges for the return missionaries. They
Right,
still do that
right.
all over the world.
So several of us girls that I grew up with in our ward. So the two Boer girls, Edie and Jeannie, and then my good friend Barbara Wilton. So the four of us went off to Rick's, and Jeannie and her sister were roommates, and Barbara and I were roommates in different apartment buildings.
Right.
But anyway, we got to see a lot of each other.
That's
So
nice.
so
So then it was a
anyway,
surprise when you saw each other at school.
were we surprised?
Yeah.
Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay, you want to speak
Yeah,
up?
I knew she'd be in town. We went to a social the first weekend we were there, and we got to see each other.
But you didn't know I'd be in town. We
Uh-uh.
the first thing when we first arrived at school, he was probably there a couple days before me because he was in the employment line to try to find a job, and I didn't have to that semester. And that night with my roommates, we all went to the ice cream social at the
Mm-hmm.
college, and we were high up on a balcony looking down on the ballroom floor,
Oh,
and I and he happened to just be looking up, and we saw each other, and I pointed like, "Oh my goodness, that's Elder Long," and he's going up like that. So he runs around and bounds up the stairs. So we go hi, and like, and right away he wouldn't leave my side. He wouldn't.
She,
Yeah, I guess. And so he says, "Well, how did we get to the sober society that
I
night?"
took you out.
I know, but what'd you say?
Hey, you want to go with me to Sober Society?
Yeah,
I had a club
Real
there
smooth.
called Sober Society.
yeah, it's
Uh-huh.
typical. And yeah, it was a pizza parlor, is what it
Uh-huh.
was, downtown Rexburg. There on, was it on
Uh-huh.
College Avenue or
Somewhere like
somewhere
that.
like that? So we went for this walk, and we went there and talked and had pizza. And afterwards, what'd you do? Take me to my apartment?
Yeah, I walked you back home. Then I went back to my arm. She tried to kiss me, but I wouldn't let her.
That is not true. So that is not true at all. This,
Probably more the other way around.
yes, that's it. Okay, so this was in late August, and then we found out we were in the same ward, if you can imagine.
And I was your
Wow.
home teacher.
Okay.
He was my home teacher, but so
Wow.
we dated a few other times. And then his birthday, which is September 1st, came, and we
Mm-hmm.
went out somewhere. And coming back, he wanted to kiss me for the first time.
First time.
Yes,
Now,
we
was that
hadn't
the
kissed
first
you.
time?
Yes, yes.
As a birthday kiss. She
Yeah.
had pity on me. She gave me a little charity.
Yeah, really. And I was kind of bashful to kiss.
Uh-huh.
So he'd kind of lean in to kiss, and I turned my head like this and then like this. Anyway, he finally got a kiss. So that was our first kiss.
Wow.
So yeah, it was pretty
On Dad's
good.
birthday. That's great. Now, but were you dating, like, kind of going out with other people at the same time, or
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I dated a lot of girls back when I
He did. He did. He dated a lot of girls.
when did you two single off and become a pair?
Well, one night I dated one of my roommate's cousins from Oregon, and he was at the movie theater. We went to a movie that night, me and
Mm-hmm.
this date, and he was there. Were you dating a girl at that time?
yeah, I date that night.
You
Yeah.
saw us in line to go to the movie. The name of the movie was The Great Escape with Steve McQueen,
Yeah.
one of my favorite movies. But anyway, he saw me in line with this other guy, and he was a little bit jealous about it because later that night he calls, and that you
Uh-huh.
did.
I did?
Yes. Trust me. He called and wanted to know all about it. And I said, "Oh, he's just my roommate's cousin. You know, he's getting ready to go on a mission, so no big deal there."
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we just did a lot of things. And of course he was over at our apartment a lot because he was our, what was he again?
Home
Home
teacher.
teacher. Yeah.
I was to
Hmm.
watch over her and take care of her.
Yeah, I guess. So yeah, we would
Interesting.
walk to school together a lot sometimes. We both
Huh.
had real early classes. I liked early classes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
So, but when did you become a couple, make it official?
yeah. Because we were, well, in the month of October, my grandparents were having their 50th, their golden wedding anniversary in Salt Lake. So grandma and Max, Aunt Mavis and Fred and Billy and Bill, their three surviving daughters, all came up for that. And
Huh.
probably about a week or week and a half before, he had asked me to marry him, and I accepted.
It's the
We
first Sunday of October.
Yeah, it was right. And I accepted. When my mother came to Idaho, then we had to tell her, of course, but we made it
Right.
very clear we're not going to get married for a while because, we have a lot of schooling to do.
Right.
And so she was okay with that. She always liked Dad.
So she
In fact,
remembered him.
yeah. In
Uh-huh.
fact, she once said while he was a missionary in our area, she said, "That Elder Long's going to make someone a really nice husband. He's very much a gentleman," and stuff like that. There was just something
Uh-huh.
special about him.
Hmm.
So that was okay with her, but she probably thought, "Oh, they're going to, it'll all be done with here in a few weeks or months, so not to worry."
Yeah, we
So
were married the following August in the Salt
Right.
Lake Temple.
yeah. So that's when
So,
we
so
told her
from
that.
first kiss to engagement was less than a month.
Uh,
Yes,
Definitely
Wow.
less than 6 weeks. Yeah. Probably less than a month though. Yeah.
this is the first Sunday of October.
Yeah, it was. It was during Fast Sunday when he actually proposed to me right
I was
afterwards.
Wow.
hungry.
Not during, afterwards.
I was hungry.
Yeah, you were hungry. You weren't drunk. You were just hungry.
I was under the
Okay.
influence.
So then that whole year, basically, you're preparing for the wedding,
Yeah,
right?
Well, we were busy college students, and that was that. He was trying to make money, and then I
Uh,
was trying to, well, but like I said, that first year I didn't work, but when we came back as married students, I had a job in the library, and you worked for the physical
physical
plant.
plant. I was a
Yeah,
draftsman, drawing pictures.
yeah.
wow.
And we
So why
lived.
did you decide to wait until the next summer for like financial reasons, or what was the reasoning behind that?
Yeah, we weren't going to get married at December or between semesters. It was, we didn't have enough money, and
Right.
we still needed to have that longer engagement.
Right.
So that worked out best. But
Did
originally we
did
were
either
going to
of
get
you
married for about 2 years, right? And then we just said, no, we want to be married. Much to
really
my
you originally
mother's
thought it'd be a lot
chagrin, but
longer?
that's the way it goes. What's that? Did you say, Tim?
So originally you thought it'd be a much longer engagement.
Yeah, simply
Well,
for financial reasons.
Yeah.
But so then May came and school was out. I went back up to Washington. He went to Ohio, and that's oh, actually, he took me home to Washington. His brother Gil and Sid drove to Rick's, picked us all up, took us to Seattle, and that's when we
Wow.
talked to Mom and Max and said, "Well, we'd like to be married before school starts in the fall." So that was that. I know they weren't real pleased with it, but they knew I was marrying a good man, so
Right.
that
What
was
was
okay.
their what did they not like
About dad,
about
or
getting married before school starts?
what did they not like?
Yeah.
our age.
Oh, well, yeah, our age. I was only
Uh-huh.
19 and a half when we
Right.
got married, and he was just had, well, he was just shy of his 22nd birthday.
Right.
So he was 21 and I was 19. So
Uh,
yeah, we were very young, but
right.
that really wasn't unusual at church schools back then. A lot of people were married. We were among the majority.
So did your mom and Max, did they do a lot of the wedding planning and
Yeah,
did they help pay for it?
It was really simple. We knew of course back then there weren't as many temples, so we knew that probably the closest one for everyone would be the Salt Lake Temple,
Right.
and his parents came out, and Dad drove out with a car, and his parents flew out, and they'd never been married in the temple yet, so they were sealed, and then we were married, and so
Oh,
that's
that's
how
nice.
that worked. Yeah, so that was on August 5th, 1970. It was on a
Wait, but
Wednesday.
hold on, rewind a little bit. So you said dad took you back to Washington and then he went back to Ohio, right?
right.
Yeah,
And then you guys didn't see each other until the wedding?
exactly.
Wow.
Then he went back there and worked a couple of jobs, scrambling together all the money he could.
Yeah.
And I had some few odd jobs during the summer. And then we met in Idaho Falls.
Huh.
He drove out from Ohio. I came with Mom and Max in the car from Seattle.
Huh.
And we did that because what? We had to meet and go up to Rexburg to try to find an apartment to live in, if you can imagine.
Wow.
And that's why we lived on above the Ben Franklin store
Mhm. Mhm.
up there.
We looked at
What?
several
Oh, Porter's
apartments.
Bookstore. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Right, right.
Porter's Bookstore is the name of it officially.
it was still there when you were going to college. Porter's
Yeah,
bookstore.
Yeah,
I think it's still there
that's
now.
where
Yeah.
we lived upstairs. and we got a good deal. And we think it was a real nice little apartment,
Mhm.
wasn't it? It really was.
Bathtub was small.
Yeah, but we're short, so who cares?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So, Dad, you drove out with your parents and with
Well, no,
Gil and Sid?
I got a car in Ohio, and I drove it out to Idaho. I just went out by myself, drove
Mm,
out, and then went to up to Rexburg, Idaho Falls. Then we drove down to Carolyn went with her parents, and I went down. We went down to.
Well, actually, I drove with you in the car, but we had my little sister Candy as a chaperone.
right.
You know, it only takes a few hours to drive down to Salt Lake from Rexburg, maybe 5. So she was our chaperone.
Wow.
Kept us from teach kissing.
Brother, how could you kiss someone driving the car?
What kind of car did you buy, Dad?
It was a Dodge.
Dodge what?
Tornado? Is that
I
a
don't know,
Dodge? Or does that
Dodge or
sounds like a
Coronet. Dodge Coronet.
yeah? But
It
he
was
did
actually my father's
gift.
gift to me.
It was the
That's
family
nice.
car, but his dad gave it to him.
And so we drove it out.
Yeah.
And
So we all met
how
in
long did
Salt
you get
Lake,
onto
got married, and like I said, on a Wednesday, August 5th, 1970.
As I recall, you flew out from Seattle to Columbus, and we had
I
met
did.
family did. And yeah, we went to Washington, D.C. that Christmas.
You're backing up.
Yeah, I'm
So
backing up before
I
we got
was
we got
going forward with the marriage. This is back to
Yeah.
engagement.
during Christmas break that first year we were together.
Huh.
We went to she flew out I mean, from
Seattle.
Seattle, and we met, and then we drove down to D.C. and visit my sister down there.
So I could
Right.
meet his family. His
Yeah,
family really liked me. They're
and
very nice.
we chunked around D.C. for a couple of days, and then we came back home and
Huh.
flew, and then we drove from
Columbus
Columbus
back to school.
back to school.
We
Right.
got a ride with another student, a
Huh.
married man. I mean, anyway, he wanted to drive some students back to Columbus, then back to Rexburg to earn money so his wife, who was pregnant, could fly. Something like that. Anyway, it worked out well for everybody. So there was 4 of us in the car
A little old
traveling in the
Mustang.
winter. So that was an adventure.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
thinking back on when you first got married, what were some of kind of the early challenges you guys faced?
I wrote this down. Well, our first argument was over spilt honey.
Oh,
Yeah, we borrowed oh, well, this is a little side story, but the car that was given him, it had all kinds of mechanical problems and was just absolutely useless. So we didn't really have a car that first year. And his brother Gil, who is now a student there, as well as his brother Sid,
mm-hmm.
Gil loaned us the car to, if we need to go get groceries or something. But we mostly walked everywhere that first
Right.
year, to the laundromat, to, well, we could get groceries if it weren't too many. But when we're just first setting up housekeeping in our apartment, you know how you need a lot of everything. So we borrowed Gil's little Volkswagen Beetle, and we went to the local, didn't have Brulums there. Where did we go? That IGA or something?
Something like that.
Anyway, not much was there in Rexburg,
Little
but
market. Yeah.
we went there, and though actually we went to Idaho Falls, I think. But anyway, we bought a lot of groceries and put them in the back seat. And when we got home to our apartment, I could see that some honey, the lid had somehow come loose and
Huh.
it spilled all over stuff. And so it was just a
Oh
big
no.
mess. I somehow blamed it on Mark. He got
Huh.
to chew it out. That was really our first argument. I felt bad about it.
What
But
did you?
anyway,
What was the argument about though? Just the losing the honey or making the mess or what?
it was a mess. I had to clean up everything. I got on the seat
Yeah.
of his car. Thanks
You
goodness
know, honey's not easy to clean up.
it wasn't
Right.
fabric seats. Yeah, honey's very difficult. So cleaning that up, but
I don't remember the argument at
he
all.
doesn't remember it, but I guess I do because I thought I'll have to remember this someday for this very moment.
Yeah. Yeah. But you guys were living seems like very shoestring budget, right? So like were a
Very
lot of
much
your
so.
do you think the
In
main
fact,
stressors were financial at the beginning?
were the what
Just
control?
financial. Yes,
The main
Yeah,
we had
stress in your
financial
life.
difficulties, but we,
Yeah.
yeah. I worked at the library up on campus,
Mhm.
and he worked in the physical plant doing drawings.
Uh-huh.
And so, but the school said if husband and wife are both students, full time students, they can only work half part time.
Right.
Well, it's all we had time for anyway. So we both had part time jobs and probably made the same, didn't we?
hmm
Yeah, $1.65 an hour, I think. And what was I going to say about that? Yeah, so things were lean, but we knew that it would be. We could
Right.
pay our rent was $65 a month. That included all of our
Wow.
utilities. And yeah, but mostly, everything went into rent. Then we had to save up money for tuition for him.
No, I had
And
grant.
huh? All of them? Oh, okay. He said he had grants.
Right.
I know off and on you did. I wasn't for sure. So yeah, we ate real frugally, and
We still
we
gained weight.
still gained weight, but we both did the cooking or whatever, make lunches and eat our lunches up there at school.
Mhm.
Sometimes we could come home for lunch, but we had a lot of fun. Every day we would play chess, the game of chess. Elna, do you know chess?
I don't know how to
You
play
don't
it.
know chess. No.
She knows the game, she doesn't know how to play.
Oh, doesn't know how to play.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I just want to know if she understood it. But so we had the chess table set up by the door to leave our apartment on a table. And every day we could make one move. So the game lasted a long time. We had all day to study our move if we wanted. We made one move. On Saturdays, we'd get up, get our dirty clothes together, bundle them up, stuff
Mhm.
them in a pillowcase, sling them over our shoulder, and go down to the laundromat, of course, walk. And then we had this little portable chess game where the pieces were magnetized so they wouldn't
Oh,
fall off. And we'd sit there while our laundry was going and play chess. Remember?
hmm
That was
that's
fun.
fun.
But we didn't need a lot of money. That's what I liked about Rick's College versus BYU. They had more things that were free, like movies and things like that, because we didn't have a TV for a while. And when we finally got a TV, it was only $7, and we bought it through a salesman at the music shop there in town, of all places, a music shop for a TV. And it was metal, and it was kind of to look like blonde wood. I know
Uh-huh.
that sounds weird, but that's what it was. And yeah, for $7, of course, it was a black and white TV. That's okay. We didn't
Uh-huh.
care. And so we didn't have much time to watch TV anyway.
Right.
But other things we did for activities are very dear, dear friends that we met there, even though they're both from Washington and from my stake in
Uh,
Washington, were Merle and Nanette Thane. Nanette and I worked in the library, and we just hit it off as friends. And we
mhm.
just said, we got to get together and have dinner with our husbands. And we just became best friends, didn't we?
Yeah.
That's
And
great.
Nanette did not go to school. She worked part-time at the library and part-time up at the hospital, the Madison Hospital, I believe.
Mhm.
And Merle's a full-time student. So she always had to work on Saturdays, and he had the day off, and so did we. And we'd go do something fun with Merle, like out to the dunes after it
Uh-huh.
snowed, and then create a slide. What did we slide on? Plastic
Plastic
bags or
eggs or something
something.
like
Probably plastic bags. We didn't care. We had a ball, didn't we?
Yeah. That's great.
It was funny. Yeah.
So then you went after that you went down to BYU.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
After
at
the
what point
year
at what
together
point does
marriage, we went to BYU.
What's that? Okay. He came along after we'd been married 17 months. He was born in our 17th month of marriage. See? Let's see. So that
So you
first year of
were
school, what?
you were pregnant with Aaron during that second year of school at Rick's, right?
Well, the first year we were single and engaged.
Right.
The
Yeah.
second year we got married that summer, and I became pregnant in March of 71.
Right. Right. Okay.
So he was born in December of 71.
Uh-huh.
But that summer, I graduated from Rick's College with associate degree. Dad had a composite major, is that what you call it?
Not major, but I had enough credits to get into BYU.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't get a degree from Rick's.
Well,
I just got
it just
hours of classes.
would have been
I
an
see.
associate degree, but I got that.
Uh-huh.
And so yeah, so before we left Rick's, we realized I was pregnant and going to be due in December.
Uh-huh.
And so that was kind of fun. And
Mhm.
Aaron came on the 14th of December, my mother's birthday.
mhm.
It's
Oh,
a
I
good
didn't know
birthday.
that.
Oh,
Yeah.
you didn't know that? Yeah, he's born on his grandma Long's birthday. I've often thought should have named him Evan because that her name's Eva Evan,
Right.
but I liked Aaron too, so we both did.
So
Yeah.
did becoming parents change the dynamic of your relationship at all between you two?
Well, between our own relationship, I don't think no, we just had different responsibilities now, and to learn and to take on.
I
So
dumped
yeah,
Aaron on the floor.
you didn't dump him on the floor. That was Nathan.
I wanted it.
Yeah.
Yeah, then we had, in that first year at Rick's, or at BYU, we just continued our coursework for the various things we were interested in.
Yeah, I took a few classes I could that summer. So that summer, well, we worked hard. We had to, of course, not being students, we had to leave our jobs at the school, and I got a
Uh-huh.
job downtown at a laundry place.
Uh-huh.
This was a facility that did laundry for all the motels and stuff but Yellowstone or going up to
Uh-huh.
Yellowstone. So it was
Okay.
mostly just sheets, pillowcases. My job was to take they had this, what do you call that spinner, an extractor. And I had to put the sheets in there and then hit the button for this extractor and spin the water out of them. Though they're
Wow.
almost dry. And then pull them out. That's hard work. And pull them out. And then me and another lady would get on this like a big giant roller, and and thread the sheets through it. So they would
To squeeze
dry.
out the water.
Well, no, the water's pretty much squeezed out by the extractor.
But they just rolled
They
through
were
this
faintly
damp.
damp, but putting them through
Uh,
the roller finished drying them. Then we had to
right,
get on
right.
the other side, or there was two other women on the side. They'd catch the sheets, fold them real quick, and then the other two ladies, me and someone else, we'd feed it through.
I
Interesting
see.
job. It was pretty physical, and here I was pregnant.
What was the material of the roller? Was it like a rubber or what?
It's called a Miranda. It was a roller heating. It was
It,
basically a rolling iron.
yeah, well, it
Okay,
wasn't
so
metal.
it was
Maybe
hot.
the inside was the outside. It kind of had a softer texture than with the like a pad, and then it
Okay,
had a fabric around it. So as it touched the sheet, it was very hot, and it would
I see.
squeeze it too. You wouldn't want your hand to go in there.
Yeah,
Yeah, your fingers or anything.
Basically, it was
right.
compressed iron
Yeah,
putting in a roller.
but I never got hurt on it or anything.
Yeah.
I worked
It,
with some
it's
pretty pretty
it
rasty women there.
sounds like a dangerous piece of machinery. Like if you get your
You have
hand
to be
or your arm.
careful. Think of what you're doing. Yeah, but it was different. So we worked there most of the summer, and then late July, my brother Mark called me because he was down there at BYU. He said, "Hey, can you, Mark, come down and watch the boys, Eric and Kevin, while Carol and I go on this rafting trip?" And we thought, well, that's maybe a good idea because we have to locate a place to live down there, you know?
Right.
And so we went down there. And did we use that old station wagon to do that? What car did we use?
Yeah,
I don't know. But we got down there. It's about a 5-hour drive, you know.
Yeah.
And we got down there and took care of the boys for Mark and Carol. And then we loaded the boys up and went down, started looking for houses for it. We just kind of drove around neighborhoods, you know, because they
Right.
advertise it for rent, and you know how that goes. We found a nice fourplex, and we talked to one of the residents who was in charge of taking care of the lawns. He says, "Yeah, we got a vacant one here, and the rent's real cheap. It's a good location to school, and this and that." So that's we contacted the landlords, and they were happy to have us. And we said, "Okay,
Wow.
we'll be down here in August or whatever." And I still had time to take a couple classes down there at BYU. I took a health class and, of course, a required religion class. And so that was good. So but that was the last of my classes there at BYU. I only
Right.
had 2 classes.
So was that always the plan to stop taking classes at BYU, or did you
Well,
stop
so
to
funny.
become a full-time mom?
Yeah, that's funny you should ask that because I thought everything was okay because Mom and Max were paying just my tuition and we could do that. Now, we never really thought ahead who's going to watch the baby, you know, when he's born in December and I start school in, say, January or take a semester off, whatever. So one day the school calls Dad, right?
Yeah.
And wants to inquire about our finances because we were getting a scholarship or grant.
Grant
He was
name.
getting a grant, and they could see I was a student. And then they asked, "Well, how are you paying for your wife's schooling?" Right? They didn't like the idea. I know it's kind of a thorn in my side, but they didn't like the idea that my parents would pay for my tuition, and he was getting grants from the school. So they
Really?
said, if you want to continue to get grants, your wife will have to drop out of school. Yeah, isn't that boy? That
Really?
would be
Wow.
a real legal case today, probably. But anyway,
Yeah.
that's the way it was. Oh, that's the way it was. So I had to step out, which I didn't really mind that much. I thought I'll just make this up someday, and you know, get ready for the baby and stuff. And meantime, he was trying to find a job and
Right.
this and that. You want to tell them about your first job down there in Provo?
I cleaned office building down there on the school property. It was what was the maintenance area. I would get up and go over there and clean in the early mornings, dust down stairways, mop, clean out bathrooms. It was just a janitorial job I had there for a while. And then,
What about the architecture?
oh yeah, I had went
Architect.
down while we were down there. I had an offer for a job at an architect's office. I worked there
Wow.
for about a quarter or a semester. So then I got out to motion picture studio and I worked out there as a roustabout doing any kinds of things that need to be done around the motion picture studio. Everything from setting up sets and watering plants and you know, just carpentry work, things like that. So it's pretty good. Pretty good
Wow.
opportunity.
So
Yeah.
So we made it through.
excuse me.
Also, I during my junior year, the ROTC program came about, and I joined the ROTC program. Did a summer camp at Fort Knox, Kentucky, and then the following year I did a summer camp at Fort Lewis. Graduated and got commissioned, and we went to Germany after that.
Right. Okay.
That's when I got out of college. And,
He just skipped over 3 years of being down there, though, but oh well.
yeah, I
Like, I
graduated
didn't tell you
74.
about our first Christmas or anything like that.
Well, I kind of wanted to focus on more like big picture stuff when it comes to, just talking about marriage and things like that. So, but no, I appreciate you sharing the details. That was very nice. No, I'm curious. You guys have been married now for what, 54 years?
Or, yep.
And obviously, by today's standards, that would be considered, you know, abnormal.
Unusual. Yeah, it is.
So I'm curious, what do you think have been some of the key things that have helped you two to stay together for 54 years?
Yes, dear.
Did you hear that? Well, I think one of the best things we did when we were at school that first year is we took a personal finance class together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We've always been pretty good with our finances. I mean, we've never been real rich or anything, but at least we didn't go in the, poorhouse
Yeah.
either.
We lived
So,
within our means.
yeah, live within your means, learn to save and things like that.
Right.
Have you
Right.
ever read
Okay.
the
So
one
do you think
book that came out of it?
He's talking.
so? Being on the
Well,
same page about finances has been important
yeah, it's
to
very
your
important.
success.
Go over them together. I mean, he handles most of the finances and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm aware of what's going on, of
Right. Right.
course. And I'm he's the earner, but I'm the spender. Well, we're both kind of spenders now. Well, I'm do pretty good, you know.
Yeah.
And he's pretty good too.
So when it came
So,
to big financial purchases like homes and whatnot, what was kind of
mhm.
your process? How did you counsel together about making big purchases?
Well,
I mean,
we already established the habit of living within our means.
right.
So we knew, what kind of a house we would qualify for
Mm-hmm.
before we went looking. What would you say, Mark? Is we
Well, we
just
knew
never had any problems with that.
we always knew the prices, money we had, and where we could handle it as we went through.
Right.
Mm.
We never bought new cars until after I retired.
Right.
From you know, we you knew what we drove around.
Yeah, that's right. We don't care though.
No, I think that's an important lesson for living within your means. And
Definitely.
no, I definitely know. I've told Elna this many times. I know you guys sacrificed a lot for us, your kids, so
Hmm.
we, I appreciate that a lot. I don't think I've ever seen Dad buy any like new clothes for himself ever in my life.
Well, once in a while he gets some new shoes or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, neither
So
one of us are clothes horses, so it's not a big deal to us.
yeah,
So we like to travel. If there's a way to spend money, it'd probably have experiences. In fact, I said for Christmas this year, let's just not worry about getting each other something, and let's go see that. What's the name of it? Oh, I wish I had it here. Oh, it's over there. It's a group that travel from China. What's it called? They do acrobatics and all sorts of things, and they
yeah,
always come here. It seems like every year. Might be over on the island, Mark. If you turn on the light, you'd probably see it better.
yeah,
Uh, and I said, I've always wanted to go see them, but they're going to be playing even Christmas Day. Here, I'll show you. Okay, I'll show this to you. It's Shen Yun. Is that, am I pronouncing it correctly? Shen Yun. Yeah,
yeah. That'll be fun.
and yeah, just do all kinds of. I don't know if the
Yeah,
light is
I've heard
on.
of that show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we thought, let's go see them on Christmas Day because we don't go big deal on Christmas gifts for each other or anything. And I
Hmm.
just soon, to me, Christmas is more going to see the trees, the decorations, the concerts,
Right.
things like that. There's a church here, I think it's a Baptist church in town that does a living Christmas tree. I want to go see that. We saw it a couple years ago. Things like that. Christmas morning, we don't go in for the
Yeah.
bunch of gifts. I mean, even the Savior only got 3 gifts. So these people
So
that got a big haul, I don't understand that. Anyway,
so you, uh, I mean, so we talked about being on the same page as far as finances go. I think obviously you two have also had to make some sacrifices for each other over the years.
Definitely.
For example, it seems to me now that you had to sacrifice continuing education in order for Dad to keep his grants, right? Are there
Yeah. Well,
any
while we
other
were
big
there at
sacrifices you guys?
BYU, and by the time it became reasonable for me to be able to go to school, I had so many children that to
Right,
pay for babysitting and stuff just wasn't gonna. I really didn't mind it. I all through school I did his typing for him and things like that. I felt I was always learning,
right.
and of course I like to read, so that's you can always self teach yourself a lot of things if you're a good reader. And so I just felt it was important to move him along. I don't really feel that it was a sacrifice. Maybe some women might see it that way, but so I don't
What
see
are
it
some
that way.
other okay, then other than that, do you feel what were some other things you guys have sacrificed for each other over the
That we
years?
sacrifice for each other.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I remember buying an expensive coat.
Oh yes, we were real poor students in Rexburg. Our first year, it was really a cold winter, like they all are. When I went to school there, we women had to wear dresses. That meant our legs were bare or almost bare, walking up to the campus.
Right.
And Dad, I don't know the name of the store, but there was a clothing store there in Rexburg, and he went in there. And did you bargain for it, or did you pay retail price?
I paid. It was a discounted price, but we had to put it on layaway until we could pay for it.
Yeah, but anyway, did you give it to me for my birthday? Because it
Yeah,
either
it was in.
birthday or Christmas are quite close together. But anyway, a beautiful coat, and
Mm-hmm.
Elna may not know a maxi coat, a mini coat. Have you ever heard of those? A maxi coat? Well, maxi coat goes all the way, to the tops of your shoes. It's a
Uh-huh.
very long coat. That's called a maxi. And
Uh-huh.
then it's called a mini, where just about at your knee line, you can unzip it and
Uh-huh.
take that whole bottom part off, and then it becomes a
Wow.
mini coat. But there in Rexburg, you always wanted it to be a maxi coat to
Right.
protect your legs as you're walking. And he went out and bought one of those. And I said, "Where did you
Wow.
get the money?" And this and that. And he said, "Don't worry." And so I didn't. We didn't
Wow.
suffer for anything. But I know there's something he could have used it for. I really felt bad because he took a math class and he didn't get a very good grade in it because he couldn't afford the calculator. If you can imagine this
Wow.
calculator, back then, calculators were very expensive,
Right.
right?
Oh yeah,
And he couldn't do it. So he had to do his math by what?
by hand.
By longhand or whatever.
Well, I had slide
Yeah.
rule.
Slide rule.
No, it was just I bought it. The first Texas Instrument calculator that I purchased cost me $53, and it couldn't do anything like the phone you have in your hand
It
can do
does
more
more.
than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you said your rent was 65, so that's almost a month's rent for a calculator.
Yeah, we couldn't. That was not going to happen. This
Yeah, I
part.
mean, no, it's okay. We have to go here in a little bit anyway, so we can just wrap this up. But thank you very much for sharing your time with us. I think just talking with you today, I came up with some more questions I'm going to want to ask you in the future. So hopefully we can
Yeah, let us
Okay.
let us
do
know
this
ahead
again.
of time. We could think about them.
Mm-hmm.
So our
Yeah, it was good
Okay, well,
having with
responses.
you.
yeah, thank you very much, and I really enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed it as well.